The G7 meeting took place in Canada over the weekend, June 8th and 9, 2018. Donald Trump was blasted on his positions on free trade, and I will shed some light on free trade, fair trade and barriers. After a pretty chaotic media coverage, Donald Trump, the American president, suggested no tariffs, no barriers. The first picture suggests a pretty asymmetric kind of tariff structure in the different categories to the benefit of the European Union. On a second glance, the picture gets a little bit more complicated. Considering products only, there's a trade deficit for the US of roughly 153 billion US dollars. If you look at products and services, the game is pretty much balanced out between the European Union and the US. It differs, though, if you drill down country by country. Merkel took a totally different approach. She talked about common values for the G7, like democracy, the rule of law, and respect of human rights. Later then, she took up the issue of tariffs. If there is a need to talk about tariffs, subsidies and market entry barriers should not be omitted. Entry barriers can have a significant impact on the investment activities. Here in the upper chart, one can see private investments in Germany and state investments going back to the 1980s. The curves are falling and state investment is flat. In some years it's even negative. That means that the asset base is like a fully loaded plate being eaten up. There are no future investments, which means that 3, 5 or 10 years down the road there will not be a competitive edge for Germany and our children. The lower table from Santander shows that in 2016 foreign direct investment in Germany were the lowest since the financial crisis. The money is pouring into the UK despite the Brexit. Investment decisions are often taken not just on hard facts but also on soft facts. And here we see where Germany is pouring its money. The country of Goethe, Schiller, Bach, Kant and Hegel is now the country of the Edelfuck due to its public broadcasting system. The spend volume lies around 11 billion bucks every year. The money is being collected from households and enterprises in Germany. But also visitors who stay at accommodation in Germany have to pay up for the public broadcast. They don't see it necessarily on the hotel bill. Once you register your own business in Germany, you see it immediately. Whether you just apply for a postal address, basically a letterbox, whether you rent office space or whether you have your own premises and want to invest hundreds of millions of US dollars, you are being charged for the public services for the Edelfuck, and that is a barrier. The Rundfunkbeitrag, or the broadcasting levy, has specific characteristics. It's different than a tax because if you, as a payer, pay for the public broadcast, an advantage has to accrue to the payer. And this advantage has to be individual and monetizable. In Germany, the states are responsible for media and broadcasting, and the 16 prime ministers of the different states must have decided that the broadcasting system lets accrue benefits for the payer. German citizens have no say in whether it's an advantage for them to have a public broadcast. Enterprises don't have a say. Visitors from abroad, business people who are coming to Germany to do business here, to invest money, have no say whether the Edelfuck they pay for is really a benefit to them. The Constitution gives no clue and no hints that the Prime Ministers would have any competencies to assess the broadcasting system of its value proposition, let alone the ability to assess or state that the Edelfuck is of value. The Prime Ministers and their predecessors managed to break the neck of the educational system. Whether it's elementary school, whether it's advanced learning, whether it's higher education, whether it's the dual system, once the value proposition of Germany, the system is completely destroyed. Beside media, broadcasting, education, the Prime Ministers are responsible for investments. So in Hamburg, for example, they were building an opera house, a music hall. The first estimate was a budget of 70 million euro. It turned out that the overall cost was over 800 million euro when the building was finished. To cut a sad story short, there are no competencies with the Prime Ministers or the legislative. Only in the historical context we find some evidence, as in the period from 1933 to 1945, media innovation was highly leveraged by political powers. The state churches play a pivotal role in supervising the public broadcasting system. Here a very high-ranking member from the church is heading the most important committee, ensuring quality and providing the necessary value proposition. In the very specific case, the Church has given its blessing to the anal fog. The anal fog can be taken literally or it can be taken metaphorically. In both cases, there are big legal implications. But for the business, that means there are high entry barriers. We are talking not about a standalone kind of featuring here. The anal fuck goes together with the goat fuck or with the fuck you and many other fucked formats. There is one common denominator. These formats, these contributions have to be paid up for, and that's not only German citizens who are compelled to pay for it, but foreign people, visitors coming to Germany, business people from the G7 and all other countries who want to invest in Germany. I've done business with the most talented people from Norway, from the UK, from France, from Italy, from the United States. Solution-oriented people, tech-savvy, they understand the issues in the breadth and in the depth, they understand the dynamics, they know how to create value in the short, mid and long term. And these people, if they come to Germany, if they want to invest in Germany, they have no say. It's the prime ministers of the states who have decided that they have to pay for the anal fuck and that the anal fuck is of value. And it's Merkel who said, if we talk about tariffs, we need to talk about values and entry barriers. And she's talking about values, about respect, about democracy, about rules of law. And Donald Trump is even not looking at Merkel, he looks at Macron. Only the media in Germany goes nuts. So where is Merkel's contribution for free and fair trade and to abolish the barriers which exist? The system of the public broadcast is the system Merkel. After the horrific experiences of the NS regime, the Allies demanded that the public broadcasting has to be free of politicians, free of the state, it has to be independent. We have beside ARD, ZDF and Deutschlandradio a fourth system, a system with a budget of 325 million euro and reports directly to the Chancellor. Merkel is the master of modern propaganda. It's not only that the members of the G7 meeting have to pay up if they come to Germany to pay up for the anal fuck. It's all other heads of states and all other countries. Business people, good business people who are coming over, who want to do business here, they have to pay up for the public broadcast. In Germany we have roughly 82 million inhabitants. There are roughly 44 million accounts for households and for enterprises. There are 25 million measures being executed by the public broadcasting system against citizens and enterprises every year. There are 4.9 million admonitions and enforcement processes. There are 1.4 million households and enterprises with fully completed enforcement processes. And for the first time since 2013, we see incarcerations. People who cannot or who are not willing to pay up for the public broadcast are thrown into prison. So how can we read the expressions of the faces, the look of the eyes of Merkel, Lagarde and Mr. Trump? Looking at the net investment activities, they are going down for almost 40 years now. There is no future if there is not an investment. There is no future if there are no foreign direct investments. Merkel is preaching common values. 30% of the German citizenship, particularly those with higher education, are ready to leave the country. Professionals can find a fairly easy solution to the tariff issue. It's much harder on the soft issues. But please, to the G7, tear down the barriers in Germany. Mehr zum Thema auf beitragszwang.de, der Plattform für Analysen, Hintergründe und Zusammenhänge zwischen Politik und Medien, insbesondere dem öffentlich-rechtlichen Rundfunk. Wie immer gilt trotz sorgfältigster Recherche vollumfänglich der Haftungsausschluss.